All right, so welcome to Black Pill Radio. I'm your host, Mr. Tyler, and today we have a wonderful topic, a sad topic. We're going to be talking about the violence that the Black community is facing, particularly in New York City, where the NYPD is going ham on our citizens when it comes to social distancing and all of that craziness that's going on with this global pandemic. I want to introduce my panelists first. So I'm going to go one by one, have them introduce themselves, and then we'll get into our first question and into our topic. So I'm going to go to James first with the introduction.
How you doing? My name is James William III, president and founder of IHIM Inc., a nonprofit organization in the Bronx, helping out our youth of 12 years old to 25 years old.
And then I'm going to go to Miss Tamika.
Hey, Tamika Anthony. I'm a forensic toxicologist. I have a natural product line called Xanthine's All Natural Products, and I also run a STEAM camp for Black and Brown children called Camp Wakanda.
Let's go to Mr. Ferrara. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Amara Farah. I'm responsible for an organization called Gang United, which deals with gang members basically transitioning to be activists for their communities and to get everybody involved and get everybody on the same page as far as moving in the direction for our people and the youth of these streets.
Peace and blessings. My name is Donnie K-Born Rivers. I'm the founder of a nonprofit organization called I Am My Community. We promote public safety through mental health awareness classes, parenthood classes, and we also got an anti-violence unit, which means when somebody gets shot, harmed, or assaulted in our community, we have zero to do with the police, but we use our street credibility to find out what happened to who and why, and we try to get together and stop it before the retaliations continue.
Sounds great. Everybody, welcome to the panel. I appreciate that. We're going to go to the first question. That's going to be for James. I want to know how you feel and what's your concerns about what's going on in New York City in regards to the NYPD and their policing tactics when it comes to the Black community.
First and foremost, we all know that their training is real weak. They have to learn first how to de-escalate an issue or a problem without being so aggressive when it comes to our Black and brown kids. It's very saddening, man, that we're seeing this all over, not only in New York City, Georgia, Baltimore, Maryland, et cetera, et cetera. Let's keep it real. Until we start abolishing some of these amendments and that they ensured to back up the police, we're going to continue to see this aggression toward our Black and brown kids, especially the 13th Amendment. We can speak on that more later on.
Tamika, what are your thoughts about what's happening with our citizens out here, our Black citizens, when it comes to policing during this global pandemic?
I agree with the previous speaker. I think that the training is lacking. I've seen it with my own eyes. I live in Long Island City, and there was a young man, I don't recall his name right now, a rapper that passed away, I think it was last week. And they had like a vigil for him. And I admit they probably didn't have a lot of masks on. I'm not really sure what the situation was prior, like when the vigil was actually happening. I went out to go on my daily walk to the post office, and I didn't like the conversations that were happening between the police and the people in the community. So I'm not going to speak to, our accountability as far as what happened prior, because for all I know, there could have been things that I probably wouldn't have agreed with, and I probably might have checked my own people on. But what I can speak to is the conversation, the condescending way that the police were speaking to the young people, which I feel like it was done in a way to escalate the situation so that they could have a reason to put hands on them. And I think that that's one issue, but I'm sure we'll get into it later, that we also have to do a better job of uniting in certain ways where we're presenting a united front when things like that happen. But what I could see, it was kind of like they were more escalating the situation than de-escalating. And I don't know what their training is like the young man, Mr. Young said before, but I do know that something has to change within that. Otherwise, it's going to just always be a full-out war.
So I know the young gentleman who passed away, that's King Shooter, who's a rapper out of Queensbridge in Long Island City, and they were having a mourning for him. Everybody was gathering during the day he passed away. They weren't wearing masks and they weren't social distancing. So when we contrast that to what's going on in the white Caucasian communities, where we see them at parks, not social distancing, not wearing masks, out there for hours on end, when our people were coming out to mourn for 15, 30 minutes or so, and the treatment that they received, which resulted in arrests, compared to what whites received, which resulted in they were handing them out face masks. Didn't even make them social distance. It was just, here, wear a face mask and keep it going. That's a problem. So I want to bring in Mr. Farad. Can you tell us how you feel about that? What's happening in New York City and the NYPD?
Well, first and foremost, I like to say Harlem Crip and peace to King Shooter, because that was my homeboy. You know what I'm saying? As you know, I'm a gang member. I'm actively involved with the Crips, and he was inside of the same set as me. So rest in peace to him. And when it comes to the NYPD and their duty inside the city, not only is it a mistreating situation that we're dealing with, and not only is it a lacking of training that's going on, NYPD is basically tending to act like as if we're dealing with slave patrol. You know what I'm saying? Like, this basically reminds, this time that you're dealing with right now reminds you of the Virginia codes, basically, and the slave codes, because of the fact that the way the white counterpart gets treated when it comes to our people and our domains and our areas is a total difference. That's not something that's, hidden. It's very transparent and everybody sees what's going on. So, and it seems like when we mobilize and we do what we have to do to basically bring about a solution where it won't be no violence between community and police, and we try to come about a solution where we try to obtain justice for the things that happen to our people by the hands of police, it seems like there's never a change in these sort of circumstances. So when it comes to NYPD and the police brutality, I feel like that's something that's a very, 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 very detrimental situation, especially for the youth that's growing up, because we have a lot of parents that's raising kids out here, and we can't teach our children that, the kids, that the police is somebody that you can call, and they are somebody that you can rely on when you are in danger, but at the same time, the police is the ones that's being terroristic and being the danger to the community and the youth. So it's very contradicting. And it's like, before we have an anarchy situation where, a revolution is caused and people are hurt on both sides, we need to come to some sort of common ground where we have a transition and change when it comes to how NYPD interact with our brothers and sisters of other areas and other places.
So the New York City Police Commissioner, when asked a question about excessive force, where one of the police officers was punching somebody in the face over and over and over, the police commissioner said he does not consider that to be excessive force in the context of when you're trying to arrest somebody, that it's okay to use physical violence as such. James, how do you feel about that? And do you think the police commissioner is wrong?
Oh, absolutely, he's wrong. First and foremost, these are the people that are placed in places to tell these officers what to do, right? We got to remember, when they go to their first meeting in the morning, they're already sending officers into a battlefield saying that our neighborhoods are war zones, right? So they're already implementing this thought in their head that we're aggressive and we're doing this and that for y'all to act aggressive with us. So he's definitely wrong. This is not a slap me in the face and then I'll slap you back in the face, all right? This is about teaching your officers accountability and ownership. He's not doing that. He's not doing that at all. But they have insurance behind them with the 13th Amendment. See, until we figure out what to do with this 13th Amendment and abolishing it, we're going to always have the same issue. These same problems keep occurring over and over in decades and centuries. I mean, that's just my point, man.
So do you think abolishing the 13th Amendment is going to solve all the issues that we're dealing with when it comes to policing in our communities?
I really think it does. It will. If you look at the 13th Amendment, what it consists of, it consists of us not being a citizen of America, especially when it comes to blacks, right? And when the police are doing what they're doing, their action shows that they have no respect for our black community. They have no respect for us. So they still look at us as slaves, right? A non-existence. They doing this because they have insurance. They have the chief of police. They have the commission. They backing them up. They don't care about us, man. They don't care about our youth. They don't care about the black woman or the black man. So that's why they get the okay to just beat us down. And then when they go to court, they let them go. Only one person since this happened got sentenced, a white lady in Texas. And that was surprising.
Is that the white lady who refused to open up her shop?
No, the white lady that
close her shop?
Nah, the white lady that said that she walked in the house and that the black man was opening the door. No, man, she's the only one that really got in trouble. The rest of them, and it ain't even funny, right? It's really sickening. Like, this is what's going on, and it's going on every day. We have to get a stop. We have to really start. If we're gonna go at them the right way, we might have to go at them on a Malcolm X point of view. We have to start going hard. We have to go back like back in the days, like the Black Panthers did. I'm sorry to say that.
So Tamika, what are your thoughts about what the commissioner said about the violence? And then James also brought up a solution, one of them being eliminate the 13th Amendment, another one being we need to go back to the days of Malcolm X and the Black Panthers. What do you think about all of that?
I mean, I have mixed thoughts on it. I think it all comes back to us. Seeing that video as a Black woman, the video with videos at this point, but the video specifically of the police officer standing on the neck of a Black man and hitting him in the face. As a Black woman and also the mother of a Black son, that hit me hard, right? It's like, there was no reason for that, right? Nobody was running, he wasn't defending himself, anything of that nature. I think that was akin to going back to the slavery times of, making the other Black people see that, right? Like it was a display. So you want to show who's in charge, right? So I feel like that was all what that was for. That had nothing to do with subduing a man that was committing a crime. That had more to do with, I want to show y'all who's really in charge here, right? And this is what we're able to do. And in turn, maybe you guys will think twice about doing these things because you have no rights anyway, right? I feel like it was more of a display, because I don't think that particular commissioner, if it was his son, if he would feel the same way, right? So that's one, but I do feel it comes back to us, right? It doesn't matter what happens. If we can't get it together, then we're always going to be victims to everything around us. We can go back to the Black Panthers, but who's going to be organizing that, right? The issue really is there's a lot of division in our community, right? And at this point, none of the other divisions matter. Whatever gang you rock with, like what religion you are, all of those things are like totally, like inconsequential at this point because it's a war. So I feel like in certain communities, if the police, like in the Jewish community, they just can't just go in there and just do whatever they want. They have leaders in the community. The police have to meet with the leaders first, right? Before they even have access to the people, right? And I feel like having that kind of organization is something that we are totally lacking. Even when I was out there looking at how the police were treating the, the young people, it was like some of them were fighting amongst themselves. Right. And it's like, that's not the front that we want to put out there. I feel like it still comes back to us, right? We need to organize in a way that is going to show not just the people that's other than us, but to show us that we're capable, right? But also that, we can police ourselves, right? I feel like sometimes we're displaying this behavior, like we get mad at certain behaviors, but if you're going to display the behavior, don't get mad at how it's being responded to. Right? Let's not focus on that part. Let's say, how about we try to do this instead, right? And see how that works out. But I do feel like it just comes right back to our own organization. And maybe it could be the Black Panther mindset or whatever, but if they don't see the United Front, they're gonna just do whatever to us like they've been doing. I don't see any difference from that video to seeing videos of Black men the Black woman being raped in front of her husband. It's all done for the same thing. It's a mental game. And once you can convince us that we're slaves and we have no rights, guess what? You already won the war, right? So we could spend all day talking about the police or the other, but I think at some point we got to put the mirror up and say, what are we doing? Individually first, collectively, yes, but like, what are we actually doing to make a difference? What are we actually doing to change the narrative, right? And that's how I feel. We can go all day, they're wrong, but they're going to keep being wrong until we do something different.
So Ms. Tamika is talking about unity amongst the community. James is talking about abolishing the 13th Amendment and going back to Malcolm X. So right now I want to go to Mr. Farrar. I want to answer your question. What's the solution to what's going on with the youth and the Black community as a whole in the streets? Because Ms. Tamika mentioned the Jewish community. They had a couple of mournings for some rabbis who passed away, and there were thousands of Jews in the street. and that resulted in a handful of arrests, but it didn't result in any beatings, and the proportion of arrests don't compare to the arrests that Black and Latinos are facing in this community in New York City, where 80% of the people who are arrested for social distancing are Black and brown people, although we make up about 20 to 30% of the population of New York City. So what's your answer and concerns about that?
Well, as far as that go, I believe that first, I agree with her everything she said there and said, and I also agree with Brother James as well. So when it comes to that specific area of the issue, I basically feel like number one, we got to differentiate the difference between the Jewish community and the Black community. So in the time of mourning, in the time of a death in a physical place, I think we have to analyze how the Jewish handle their mourning and how they handle their funerals and things of that nature, how they handle their emotions. That's how they handle it. Now, when it comes to our people, our people have a way of handling our emotions, and some of us is at peace with certain things, some of us is not at peace with certain things. Some of us emotions is very low, and some of our emotions is very high. It's a very unbalanced situation. So I feel like we do need to work on our emotional standpoint and our emotional forefront when it comes to basically getting on, one accord and one page of how to conduct ourselves in a civil manner without having to have all the brutality amongst ourselves being displayed. Because when we keep displaying brutality amongst ourselves, we're going to allow others to believe that they can do the same to us. So I'm definitely in agreement to that. The only thing I sit there and say is when it comes to the police and their brutality, when it comes to them going to these places of mourning and social distancing that they try to enforce, my thing is this: you guys are hired to do a job, and y'all are to follow a certain protocol, and y'all to follow a certain amount of training, a certain law, and a certain command. This is what y'all sworn yourselves to. Now, the people in the communities, on the other hand, they're not obligated to that. They're obligated to conduct themselves as civil individuals, yes, but they're not obligated to uphold the law in a respectful and approach as if like police is supposed to be. And the only reason why it seems like our people is, so traumatized to ourselves is because of the fact that we are the ones that's under the microscope. We're being highlighted the most. We all know that this goes on in every other community, but you're not going to see that being displayed in every other community. It's always going to be our community that's going to be focused on. And that is for a design reason. So we have to understand that, yes, it is accountability on our end as well, too. But it doesn't take away from the accountability that the officers need to be sitting there taking accountability because of the fact that when you decide to sit there and take this job, you decide to sit there and go by this job in the most proficient way possible and the most proficient way when it comes to your training for everybody to be at a safe zone and everybody to feel, comfortable with police in the community. So when it comes to the solution part of that, I feel like, yes, we need to get back active with the youth. We need to deal with talking to the community. We need to deal with panel discussions. We need to deal with all these different things. Now, like Brother James said, yes, I'm in agreement to, yes, we might have to go back to that Black Panther era if things don't work the politically correct way. Because of the fact that one thing is, okay, we can do what we got to do as far as organizing people and mobilizing people and everything else. We can do that. But we're not mobilizing our people to accomplish the greater mission, then we're basically just doing these things for no reason. We already seen time and time over that no matter what video you put out, no matter what protest you put yourself involved in, no matter what you sit there and try to do in the legal route, it always comes to a fail. And what do you think that says to the Black community when they're looking at these things on their TVs and things of that nature? People get furiated, people get angry, people become upset. One of the solutions that I tried to sit there and basically implement was I feel like we need to basically find out the policies that ensures NYPD and file a class action lawsuit against them. Why? Because not only do these policies sit there ensuring NYPD, but they're also aiding and abetting domestic violence against a nation of people. And when it comes to that 13th Amendment, yes, it does need to be abolished, but behind that, we also need to deal with status correction. Because it seems like because of the fact that we are operating under the term Black, and when you look into that Black Laws Dictionary, which is white man law on what they play upon, in their dictionary, that term Black means dead. It means to not exist. It means to be nothing. Just everything associated with Black is evil. So this is why they're going to go and treat us the way they treat us, because it's a deeper understanding than what people think it is. It's not just about, your skin color and, and how you look and your nose and everything else. That's the surface of it. But we got to deal with the actual definition, the actual etymology etymology definition term of what the word black means. So because they look at that term and they basically compare it with the 13th Amendment, these are the results that we get. So when we do abolish the 13th Amendment, we do have to basically deal with a status correction. But when it comes to our people, yes, we need to mobilize our people, and we need to basically do more healing services and more healing groupings when it comes to our people, because our people deals with their emotions and they deal with them in up and down stages. So the best way you can navigate that is to navigate everybody to get on one accord and basically, go through the unlearning and relearning process, because if we keep basically indoctrinating ourselves with hatred and self-hatred and listening to the music that we listening to, which is degrades our women and degrades our brothers, these are the things that we're going to keep on seeing. We need to transition that whole fight. But that's for us to do inside the in-house. That don't have nothing to do with how police need to be treating a nation of people when they come into contact with that nation of people.
All right, so before we get in-house, let me deal with the out-house, which is dealing with the white supremacist beatings of black people in the streets. So while we're in the courts trying to change amendments and trying to change things, that's going to take years, possibly a decade. But in the meantime, within the next 10 days, there's going to be more people beaten and arrested in the streets. A lot of people online are saying, you need to start busting them guns. You need to get your ammunition together. You need to get your defenses together. So while you're dealing with court systems and while you're trying to find so-called leaders and unify the community, which in some regards is disunify, what we do know is we're getting beaten in the street. Today, somebody's going to be beaten. Tomorrow, somebody's going to be beaten. It could be one of us. It could be our family members, our friends. We're standing around videotaping while this is happening. We're standing around screaming, acting irate while all of this is going down. What do you guys feel? And I'll start with James. What do you feel about the suggestions that are going around social media that people need to start, eye for an eye, handling business the way they handling business against us?
Hey, let me tell you something. I'm ready, armed and ready. You know what I mean? And I'm already teaching my youngins, man, our youth, that we have the right to bear arms as well, right? And one thing you have to do as a father, as a king, queen, mother, is protect your children. You're not going to allow nobody to come in here and just treat them like a common animal. Matter of fact, they treat the animals better than they treat us, right? So I'm in the agreement with that. But I'm also in agreement to this or disagreement with this. The rallying stuff all over and over again, it's just the same old story, right? You're seeing the same old thing happening every day. The police beating on us, the blacks killing each other, the whites killing us, right? Then we go rally. We rallying. What is the end result, right? What is the end result? We keep doing the same old thing, same old story. Pick your guns up. Go out there in the streets and walk. If you got license, walk with your gun. Then protest. Let them know that you're ready for war. Show and prove. If it takes, right? If it takes this, because some of us are not ready for that. A lot of us, we do the talking, but some of us are not ready for this. If you're going to go hard and you're ready to go after the individual that assaulted your black brother or your black queen or your black sister in the streets, then shoot his ass, right? But know what the end result is. You're going to jail, okay? That's period. A lot of us is doing this, but we're not doing the action. Sometimes it's going to come to that. It's going to come to that point, right? And I'm ready for that. You know what I mean? A lot of us aren't. Just as simple and plain. Go ahead, man. Get ready for war. It's a war on us, so get ready to be a war on them.
So I don't think the black community is ready for a war. We don't own gun manufacturing companies. We don't make ammo. We don't have none of that stuff. Bulletproof vests, tactical surveillance and things like that, right? So how do we balance that out?
The same way they go out here and grab these guns, right? Sneaking it in. They getting it from where? Where they getting it from? Right? They locking us up and they getting caught with all these ammunitions in their warehouses, like in their basement or under their bed. So they have the ammunition, they have the guns, but they use it for the wrong purpose, the wrong people. They rather shoot each other that looks like them. These same guns that y'all are going out of town and buying, use them. Give it to the people that need it. Arm yourself. It ain't that we can't get it. Trust me, I know. I know for a fact you can grab them. I know where to go get it. A lot of us are not using it for the real purpose. They're using it for the wrong purpose. We have to start telling them what it is and who is the enemy. We're not the enemy.
So Tamika, as a female in this group, what do you think about using guns, right? When we talk about guns, we're not necessarily talking about shooting yet, but just a show of arms, just a show of force to let you know that we're ready, or at least we're willing to die before we be abused out here in these streets. How do you feel about that response?
I mean, I'm a mother, single mother, right? I live in Queens, but I'm from Brownsville. Um, and I'll say this, like, I've been utterly disappointed with not just the community, but the Black men, right, in the community. Um, we got the guns, we got the ammunition. You hear about it every day on the news. Another one shot another one, right? So clearly those bullets are there, the guns are there. Like the brother said, what they're using them for is the issue. As a Black woman, I don't particularly feel protected in the way that I feel like I should be protected by Black men as a whole. And I'm not going to pinpoint him. I'm just saying as a collective, I don't see it. And for me, I'm just a different type of female. I'm a boxer. You know, I do martial arts. I fight. At my Camp Wakanda, that's what I teach them. That's part of their training. They're like, why do you teach the 2 and 3-year-olds how to fight? Why not? Right? It starts with so much, right? And I want to leave the guns and all of that towards more of the Black men side, because I feel like that's where it should be. If we have to pop off as women, I'm sure I know more women ready to pop off than men at this point. But I do want to focus on the household, right? I do want to focus on something that bothers me, is that I see posts of people that are upset about the young people that are getting murdered in the streets by the system, right? By the white man, by the police. But yet they send their kids to school with the same system, right? So what do you think the middle-aged white woman, which is like the average teacher in school, what is she teaching? How could she possibly teach your Black son like how to protect himself? They're in school for 8 hours a day. So that's one of the things I do. I homeschool my kids, right? Because the issue is they're going to school getting 8 hours of something, right? And then they come home and the parents aren't really like putting in anything. I don't have a problem with you sending your kids to school, but there's a certain level of learning, supplemental learning that should be happening at home. They should be learning martial arts. Your 2, 3, 4, and 5 and whatever else should be learning how to hold a gun. Because guess what? If you have one at home and you're disabled in a way where it might knock you out, that child should be able to pick up that gun and protect you, right? My son is the middle child. I have a 16-year-old girl, I have a 7-year-old boy, and I have a 2-year-old girl. I instill that in them every day, right? Every day we have an affirmation circle before we start our day, and they have to affirm something, not just about themselves, but about each other. Things like that, it builds a certain level of love, right? Security within the family structure that's missing from a lot of our households. So we could be out there in the streets doing whatever, but if in the home, like stuff isn't going the way it's supposed to go, like it's going to be a huge disparity between those two things. So in one way, yes, I do feel like if we popping guns at each other out there, we should be popping guns wherever. But I feel like it's so much deeper than that. And I don't know if this is my view just because I'm a woman and a mother, but I just feel like the home life of some of these youth are just not okay, right? Like right now, I see people on Facebook mad that they got to homeschool their kids. Like, why the school can't open back up? You saying that, but you just did a RIP for the man that got killed jogging. Those two things don't go together for me. Right? If you're going to RIP the man that got jogging, you should be able to connect that to why your kids should not be in school right now. Why where they are right now at home is like the perfect place for them to be and the perfect opportunity for you to give them all the extra stuff. Turn the news on, show them what's going on. Turn the video games off. You know what I mean? Like just speak to the kids. And I feel like the household, like the family unit, whatever that looks like. I don't care if y'all separated this, that, it's a war. So it don't really matter if you don't like baby daddy or this or that. None of that stuff matters right now. But I feel like the youth, which is the next generation, they're not getting all the tools they need, the tools that we didn't have, that we know we don't have, right? So my view on that is, yes, pop your guns off if need be, but first learn how to use them, right? Learn how to shoot correctly, learn how to aim, learn how to do all of those things. But at the same time, there's another piece to that. And I feel like it's in the household. And if you're not training your children right, not just with the gun, but how to interact with each other, right? Then it doesn't matter. You can kill all the white people and guess all the white people could be dead, all the cops dead. And guess what? If it's not right at home, we're going to end up turning them guns right on ourselves like we have been, right? So I just feel like it's two parts to that. That's my view.
Thank you for contributing. I want to see if I can bring in Hassan and K-Bone.
Okay, my name is Hassan Mayfield. I reside in Harlem. I have an organization called the Harlem Fund, which is a nonprofit grassroots dedicated to social development, personal development for our community. Point blank, period. That's it. In regards to what's going on today, I have a strong personal issue with that. I myself was engaged in a situation like that in my past as a young man. So I actually went to prison for shooting police. Police threatened to kill me, and we had a shootout. So this really rang real strongly resonating with me. So my view on this is, however, that at this point in time, well, I agree with everything that the sister was saying. Peace, Queen. That was a real peaceful bill right there. You added on my sentiments exactly. But I would take it to a point where, concerning this issue particularly, specifically, we need to bring ourselves together as a collective and determine just exactly what it is we need to do. Everyone has emotions. Everyone feel a certain way about this, whether it's pain, whether it's anger, whether it's even rage. However, what do we continually do with these feelings? We let them dissipate. We go into a fervor when something happens, and then after everything is said and done, something else come along, and we back to regularly scheduled programming under white supremacy. I mean, so this is something that we can break this paradigm by simply saying, okay, we see what's going on. This is actually nothing new. This has been going on since we've been here, since police was established, before the police was established. It just come in waves. So what can we do as a collective? And when I say collective, I don't mean everyone as a one monolithic institution. I'm just talking about people such as ourselves who do have feelings towards this, who do have a desire to work towards this. What can we do as a collective to utilize the power that we do have? So that's figuring out what are our true desires here. What do we want? People say separation. People say kill all the white people. People say kill all the racists. People say establish our own nation and system within this system. Everyone have different ideologies. But what is practical? What makes sense as a whole? That's something that we have to sit down together and make that determination. And whatever the majority rules and it makes sense, then that's what we should all work towards. We all may not agree, but we all should work towards that as a collective if the majority of us who have some sense of what we're dealing with agree to that. You know, and that's my belief, is that when that happens, then we're seen as a block, whether it's a political block, whether it's an economic block, whether it's a social block, we're seen as a block that does have some type of power that we're wielding, and not just utilizing our emotions to have us all over the place and be able to be manipulated with our emotions. I read a meme that said, you know, we wore shirts that saying "I can't breathe" for Eric Garner. We did this, that for Trayvon Martin. We did this for Aubrey, the young man who just died. Like, we jogging for him. Like, we're actually being brand ambassadors for our deaths. All of those things, petitioning and protesting it's good, but it serves its purpose to that degree. What are we doing as an organized body? What are we doing as a structured group in regards to knowing what we want, strategizing, and working in conjunction with each other to create a platform and a program where we can force the brass? Because these police that's running around as wild dogs, they are actually, they are just the tools, they the puppets. So we can, like the sister said, I'm of that vein. You want to pop your gun? You know, I hope we don't have any agents in this, but if you want to pop your gun, you got an enemy on the block. Won't y'all go pop the dude who's an enemy that's shooting our kids? Do that, you know what I'm saying? But we could do that all day. That don't mean nothing. We need to address the brass. We need to address the politicians that's within our purview and let them know this is what is going to take for you guys to maintain those seats, to maintain those positions. Either y'all address this and we come to some type of resolution that's beneficial for us as a community, or y'all got to go. And while we doing that, we developing our own community leaders to put them in these local positions. And from these local positions, we build it to a more state level and a national level. It's just that simple. I mean, that's the format that they got it laid out. And if we're not going to become revolutionary and try to flip this whole thing, then we need to understand how this system is actually working. And although it don't work for us, harness as much as we can to make it work for us while we're doing what we need to do on the side. And so that's my view on it. I do not profess to have all the answers, but at the same time, I do know that as long as we just petition and protest, our aims are not going to be met because we're not forcing the hands of nobody. So that's really in a nutshell what I believe we should at least start working towards.
What's our response to the police violence in the Black community during this pandemic? And we know it's been happening forever, but specifically now in this kind of time when you're talking about social distancing and you're talking about a so-called virus that can kill people, yet you're putting hands on people and you're crowding around people, what should be the Black community's response to that?
I'm gonna tell you, I'm a realist. So I go on what's real and I go on reality. And reality is that how could you change the community and your kids ain't even listening to you? Your kids is outside. That's the ones with the police jumping. They jumping them because they telling you that they not listening to you. The mayor told them to stay in the house as a lockdown. Then you told them to stay in the house, and they still went outside and had a party, and they still stood on the corner. So you can't. How could you control the system and you can't even control, like the sister said, what's in your house? You got to start off in your house. So a lot of times we riled up and we want to go outside and protect the kids, but at the same time, those the same kids that say fuck the OG. Those are the same kids that you can't even go to the store without you getting jumped. Those are the same kids that when you walk by, they will pop on you. So you can go right now and you can go and fight the police. You can go and change the law with the politicians. You can go and do all that. And then when you come back to the block, you're going to get stomped out. So what you need to do is focus on getting the community and you got to get the kids in unity. You got to get all of us to unite. You got to get the kids to believe in you. You can go fight the system, but how much you can fight all you want. If you can't get the kids to believe in you, then you did all that for nothing. And that's what it is right now. We fighting a whole war as the adults and we out here saying this, that, and the third. But while we doing all this, 95% of the youth is in our clubs. They shooting videos. They standing in the park, and then we coming outside and fighting for them. But at the same token, they not showing no symptoms in the coronavirus. They hanging out in the park and then coming in the house and giving us coronavirus. So are they working with the system? Because the system is already killing the older folks. So if you already know that this is killing the OGs, why you standing on the corner hanging out with no mask on and no glove? And then when you leave the corner, it's not like you got your own house. You're bringing this to my house. So it's not only the police trying to kill me, you trying to kill me too. So we need to get the youth to know that this disease is killing the older people. And if you go outside and ask the average teen that's on the corner, that's hanging out, that's getting jumped by the police, ask him if somebody in his house died. And he gonna say, yeah, that coronavirus is a motherfucker. No, you a motherfucker. You brought that in that house. So at the same token, we gotta get control of our youth. We gotta go out, they should not be out there. It's 100 youth out standing outside in a place that's saying nobody's supposed to be there. We all supposed to be quarantined. Why is it 100 youth outside? So we got to take control of our own community. We got to take control of our own youth, and we got to be able to build the youth, and the youth got to be able to listen to us, man. Y'all need to be in the house, man. Y'all need to be in the house, and they didn't respect none of us. And then the police went over there and had to put some hands on them, but then we gonna have to come outside because we are the ones with the sense. And we do know that the police should not be putting their hands on them. But we also do know we got enough sense and know that they shouldn't have been there. We're not gonna sit here and ignore the fact that this is not a day, you know, this is a lockdown quarantine time. If we in the house, while they out there 100 deep.
So let me go to Mr. Farah. because you are the youth on the panel, I'm going to assume, and I know you can't speak for all youth, but speaking for yourself and for your peoples, what do you think about a lot of the people in this room really going at the youth? My question was about the response to police violence and how they're treating us out on the streets. And while I do believe we need to clean up our households and we need to march and protest and we need to get into the political game and all of that, somebody's getting beat today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day. What is our response? How are we going to handle it? Should we just stay in the house or should we deal with that some other way?
Well, I'm gonna try to be as brief as possible because there's many points that need to be touched off of what I heard. You know what I'm saying? For one, I agree with the sister. I agree with James, and I agree with my brother K-Born and Hassan. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to the response with police, listen. If this politician is able to get on, and say that police respond to police brutality in the proper way that they were supposed to, then the way I feel about it is I'm armed and dangerous, so I'm ready. So if you're gonna put your hands on mine or somebody that's in my radius, then expect the same response. That's just the end of that. If you want to have a shootout, then expect the same response. That's just the end of that. Now, when it comes to what the sister is saying about nurturing the homes, I absolutely agree with that. When it comes to, our children being inside of a school system that is not designed for them, you know what I'm saying? This is why many parents are struggling with how to homeschool their children because they're so used to sending their kids to go into a school system that's not for them. But we also got to remember the belly of the beast, which is white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? This program is already intact to where, if a parent stays home with their child, majority of parents don't know group or business economics. So they don't know how to basically make money from home. They don't know how to receive an incentive for the business that they can create and they can build and, flourish. So this is why they send their children to school to be able to go to work. Because now if they're home with their children, then they don't have no way to make no money. So when you send their kids to school now you're able to go to work. Your child is there for 8 hours a day. You're at your job for 8 to probably 12 hours a day. You get home, your child get home. They're all tired, so there's no way y'all can sit down and learn. So it stops a lot of that from being taking place. And then we got to also remember, like I said again, white supremacy. This comes to understanding white supremacy. Majority of black households, children live with their mothers, single mothers at that. Majority of black men is incarcerated, you know what I'm saying? For crimes that they have committed, for crimes that they have committed and should be home from already, and for crimes that they haven't committed. So when we understand that we got majority of our fathers inside of a prison system, that already alone takes away a whole family structure because it's not a male figure there and it's not a masculine and feminine balance that's there. So we have to understand that when you have the male being out of the household, of course the kids, especially if you got boys, is going to be running rampant and not going to really uphold the authority of their mother if their mother is not stern enough. So when it comes to them being outside and doing the things that they're doing, you got to expect those things to happen. Now, my thing is when it comes to our youth being in the street during this quarantine, how long do you expect a person to be inside of a household for so long? Especially a person that's of youthful age that has nothing but energy. How long do you expect them to be inside of a household? They're not going to be able to do that for too long. Me speaking for myself, I have to go outside. I can't just contain myself inside of a household. I've been locked up before. I done did that, and no, I cannot do that. I have to go outside. So my thing is, I feel like when it comes to being aware of the coronavirus and how to access precautions and stuff to make people feel safe. Okay, yeah, put their hands and put the gloves on and put the mask on, and in reality they don't do shit because these are the same people that's going to tell you on the news that if you wash your hands with soap and water, it's going to kill the germs and freaking all this other shit that they say about the coronavirus. So you're going to tell me that this coronavirus can be cured if it's on contact by hand with soap and water, but y'all don't have a cure for it now when it comes to people inside of these hospitals and whatever the case may be. What people got to understand is when it comes to the medical field that we deal with today, doctors, hospitals, pharmaceutical industry, it's all part of a white supremacy infrastructure. If you don't know how to take care of your body, if you don't know how to take care of your immune system, and you're not feeding yourself the proper things that deal with your immune system, these are the results that you're going to get. So the same people that's complaining about, the coronavirus and you passing the coronavirus, let's not forget, you are the same person that's out there either smoking a cigarette, you either smoking weed, or you throwing back so much beer, you eating so much meat, you're doing so many things that deteriorate your immune system. So you can't put so much youth on a blame when these things are taking place. Then when it comes to the behavior of the youth, when it comes to the behavior of the youth, you got to remember who set the platform first when it came to the hood. You got a lot of these OGs that's in the hood that's promoting this kind of behavior. That's playing guns in the youth hand. That's giving them passes to go and make money.
All right, so very good, because you're segueing into my next point, which is part of what I wanted to talk about today, was the hospital system. There are a lot of white Caucasian doctors who are on the internet and YouTube, and they're making all these videos talking about people are not dying of coronavirus, they're dying of malpractice. Some people are saying that people are being murdered in the hospital purposely. And that's another form of warfare that we have to deal with, you know, just going to the hospital. All these people can't be dying of coronavirus and no one's dying of any other illnesses or diseases or ailments.
Yes.
It just don't even make sense, right? So let's deal with that. I do want to come to James though. Let me come to James, and I want to deal with the hospital situation and what's happening with our people when it comes to that.
Yeah, I have family members that are nurses in the hospital as well, and you know, privately, I was told the same thing, that once they are put on that ventilator, man, you know, a lot of individuals are all dying from that, and also the ones that are being brought in aren't dying from the coronavirus. They're dying from other natural causes, and they're just adding that to the coronavirus death. And that's, again, that secretly was told to me, but I'm sharing it right now with y'all. And it's sad, right? And I really think it's to place fear inside the community, right? Place fear inside the community, make us think that it's something else, right? It's just another virus, but it comes down to us being unhealthy. It comes down to us having an unfair health system, you know, healthcare. It comes down to us not being physically fit and training. You know, if we're not eating properly and we're not working our bodies, man, what do you think will happen when the next different type of coronavirus come through? You have to eat properly, right? You have to work out. And physically, your health should be up to par. So this will not affect our community the way that it has, you know. And the other part is, yes, they are doing that just to place fear within us, you know. And the distance thing, man, I shake my head with that, right? Because it's just different in certain demographics. They doing it up there in up downtown Brooklyn. They're not really dissident. They have police out here in the Bronx that don't even wear masks. They out here all day long with no mask on. And they're not 6 feet away from each other. Why they not sick with the coronavirus, right? So it's questions that young kids are asking themselves, like, well, you doing this, so why I gotta do this? So it comes back to cause and effect, right? The cause and effect is what they see, monkey do, right? So we just gotta touch base with our kids, man, and make sure ours is safe. We gotta make sure our community is safe, our neighborhoods are safe. Point blank, period.
So I do want to add to what Mr. Farrar was saying about, you know, being outside. We need that sunlight. You know, that sunlight is good for building up our body.
That's a vitamin.
D. Right.
Yep.
Most of the black people done been in the most of the black and brown people been in the prison system. When you was in the prison system, you ain't come outside. It's a thing called discipline. You got to discipline your mind. You got to discipline your body. You got to discipline the food you eat. That's all a part of discipline. Sometimes you got to fall back and start paying attention. Your mother told you to learn to save for
I've never been in the prison system, so I don't know. But I do want to come to Hassan.
You know,
Hassan,
sometimes you fall. We're
talking about the healthcare and what's going on with the healthcare system and black people. So I want to come to Hassan and touch on that, please, and let us know your thoughts on that.
I didn't hear you, brother. Say that again, please.
So when we talk about the healthcare system and all the deaths that are supposedly taking place within the hospitals due to coronavirus, which most of us on the panel don't believe is the truth, how do you see that? Is that another form of warfare?
Indeed so. Like when we, all right.
What's going on, King?
The studies that I have, the studies that I've done. Hello?
Yeah, we good.
Yeah, the studies that I've done, you know, dealing with white supremacy, we know it's the create the crisis, create the problem, then offer the solution. We understand that. We know that there's different agendas within agendas. It's circles within circles. So all these concentric circles, they have their own agendas. Like the young brother was saying, Amin Ra was saying that there is, inside the healthcare system, there's agendas. They make their money off of providing medicines. That's it. We have agendas where they want to depopulate the world. We have agendas where they want to take over more equity in the financial system. All these agendas are taking advantage of what came along, which is this coronavirus. So trying to figure out what's going on with that, we have to just sit back and start understanding, doing the knowledge. Those of us who taken in this fear about, I'm going to get sick, I'm going to die, we understand what's going on with the media. They really promoting that mentality that you have to be afraid. And like James was saying, being healthy, washing your hands, being mindful of touching things, being mindful of touching your face, all of these things adds on to you being protected. We're talking about a virus that was manufactured to some degree. It's still a virus nonetheless. People are saying we can't be outside. I don't ascribe to that. Simply on the grounds that the virus is not floating in the air that we know of. They tell us to protect ourselves by wearing masks and wearing gloves, having hand sanitizer, keeping a safe distance from people, but yet you can't be outside. So if I can't be outside, then that means the mask and gloves don't work. If I can be outside because I'm wearing a mask and gloves, then as long as I'm being responsible. Now, we know a lot of times people are not responsible, but yet I'm just pointing out the inconsistencies and the hypocrisies of what's going on. Now we get to the healthcare system. I know people who've died. I have family members who have corona. My son caught corona. His mother caught coronavirus. My sister caught coronavirus. I have a couple of people in my family who have family members who died. A lot of these people who are getting sick in a worse way, they have underlying illnesses, as they said. A lot of the people, it's coming out, like you just pointed out, sir. A lot of people who are dying, they are dying with other illnesses, and they have been told by the CDC to just put down it's coronavirus related. It was just pointed out inside another video of the CDC said that doctors are receiving $13,000 for just taking in these people and operating on them with utilizing the ventilator. They're receiving another $30-something thousand for when they die, to say that they die from coronavirus. Like, they basically paying doctors to do their dirty work. And doctors are going for it because it's been incentivized to do this type of stuff. And this is the problem that we having when we talking about, if you do get sick, don't deal with the healthcare system. You better off just isolating yourself. You better off utilizing natural remedies to either protect yourself so you don't get sick as preventive medicine, or to help yourself heal as curative medicine. And our medicine is our food. So that's what the brothers were saying, and that's what I agree. But the healthcare system itself is not there for our benefit when we're talking about this coronavirus situation in particular. Our people are dying not from the coronavirus for the most part. People are dying from underlying illnesses. The same thing with the HIV virus. The HIV virus, that's another chemical, biological germ, and it attacks your immune system. And when the people die, they don't die from HIV. They don't die from AIDS itself. They die from illnesses that causes AIDS because their immune system was compromised so much that it shuts down. And that's what's happening with this coronavirus situation.
Got you. So let me come to Kate. Very good. Thank you. Let me come to Kate Bourne. I want to get him in here. What are your thoughts about that as far as it relates to our medical situation when it comes to coronavirus? We got people saying go outside. You're saying not necessarily go outside. So how do you feel about it?
First of all, I'm a wise man, so I always know that you should, if you can't be scared of something that you know, you should always be scared of something of the unknown, because you don't know what the unknown is. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is unknown. here go another thing. If I was to come out with this cell phone right here, a cell phone, right? It'll take everybody about 2 years before I could get a survey to really tell you how good this cell phone is or how bad this survey is. The coronavirus was out for 2 months, and we got all these masterminds and wizards and all this all around the world. Now, also, the coronavirus is a sickness that's all around the world. So if anybody had a drop of a cure, you should be a trillionaire by now, because everybody want a drop of that. So that means that it's the unknown. It's going to remain the unknown until everybody, after a while, when people do research and do like that. And then after you do research, what's going to take years, not weeks, years, by top paid scientists that went to school for years, not internet guys and guys that's Googling and the homeboy from up the block and your uncle who could kick the little woolly bobo. Those ain't scientists, man. You know what I'm saying? Anything that come out take years. That right there. The second thing is that, of course, all numbers is inflated, because, like I said, this is the first time it's coming through. It's a lot of people coming in the hospital. So they told the people that regardless if you come in here, if you got any respiratory type thing, if you got the flu, if you die of a common cold, all that's going to go down to in coronavirus. That should be just basic common sense. Until after the numbers start coming in, and then now you can break it down and start finding out who, you do the autopsy and find out who died from the flu, who died from this. But that's going to take like a year or so. Right now, nobody can find out who died from the flu because bodies is coming in like this. They're coming in so much that you just got to keep on rushing them off. Nobody got the time to really do a proper autopsy right now. And that's understandable because it's a pandemic coming through. It's something that never happened. It's 500 people dying instead of 50. So we don't got the time to really do the dissecting like they would be dissecting like on an average day when only 20 people came through here. 500 people came through here today. So they got to put them under some category. So I understand that the flu or respiratory, but once they dissect that, and what's like another year from now, we'll see answers in that. And then as far as like China, like how could you get answers from your enemy? You know what I'm saying? That's like the Bloods and the Crips and the beef, but the Bloods gonna go ask the Crips, yo, where's the safe house at? You know, you don't get information from your enemies. We went to China, who was our enemy at the time, and asked them what helped them. And China gave us the answer that you would give your enemy. They said use ventilators. 80% of the people that went on ventilators died. So the hospital like, yo, of course the hospital got the wrong information to use the ventilators. And they was using them but people was dying, but that was not their fault. They didn't kill the people. They got that information from China. And our president and our system got that from them. You know, you don't get no information from your enemy. And they gave us, you know, what you give your enemy, and it killed up our people, man, drastically. You know what I'm saying? But it's the unknown. It's too early for anybody to be running out with speculations. What we do know is that we never in our lifetime seen this many people die. We do know that.
So let's leave
and
it
we
there.
do know that it's a real sickness going on here. What it is, we don't know. Is people dropping like flies? Yes. Is it really the older people dropping like flies? Yes. Is it people who got diabetes and all that? Yes, it's them too. But it's also people that's 24 years old, 26 years old that didn't have nothing. Babies got it now. A baby ain't got nothing. Little babies got stuff now. So now, you know, it's like a lot of stuff going on.
All right, so let me bring it to Ms. Tamika because I know you want to get on this, please.
Yeah, I definitely do too.
I got you.
So first, this is kind of my area of expertise. I am a forensic toxicologist. I've done some work with the ME's office, and I worked for Columbia University for a while running a lab there. As a Black woman in those spaces, you are privy to information that you probably shouldn't be, but in those spaces, they care more about your pedigree rather than your color. And so I will say that I do not believe that this particular virus is naturally occurring. It takes quite a while for this thing to be naturally occurring. The coronavirus is naturally occurring, but this particular strain of it is not. So that being said, I just want to, the most important thing to me right now, there's a lot of things I want to kind of hit on, but this idea of being too clean, right? Just like there are bacteria and things that can harm us, there are bacteria that also aid in our immune response to things. So just imagine that all over the world now, everybody's inside. right? We're just now dealing with the same germs 24/7. Only the germs that are in our house, right? We're not going outside. We're social distance. We're inside. So now, what do you think is going to happen when somebody goes, when they do open it up, right, and people start going outside? They're going to start coming into contact with different germs and bacteria that they haven't seen in a while, and their bodies are going to actually end up getting more sick. That's one thing. The other thing is these masks, right? When you have a mask on, when you breathe in, you're breathing in oxygen, you're breathing out carbon dioxide, right? So give me one more second, okay? Ask your brother to give you one more oatmeal cookie, okay? I'm almost done, almost done. So, you know, mommy time has almost came back around again. But as far as the mask on, be mindful, because if we're outside, right, fresh air, we're constantly being introduced to these things that are good for us, right? And so when you cut your body off to that, you're now actually reducing your immune response and also reducing your oxygen level. So the same thing that's happening to people on the ventilators is what's happening to us with the mask on, right? Like we are now dropping our level of oxygen because as we're breathing out carbon dioxide, we breathe back in. We're breathing back in the same carbon dioxide we just breathe out, right? So all the things that they're telling us to do are actually bringing down the immune response rather than increasing it. You come in the house, you're washing your hands like crazy, you're getting rid of all those bacteria that normally are supposed to be there to help you, right? It's like, you know, these new kids, all these allergies now, they're too clean. Back in the day, we ate dirt, we did all these things, we ate off the floor. We wasn't allergic to air like these kids are. They have eczema, they got this, asthma, all types of stuff. Some of these kids are just too clean, and the same things are happening to us. Our bodies need to come in contact with all these different things so they can develop their immune response, right? And so just be mindful of that, especially, yes, go ahead, when I come out. Just be mindful of that, you know, when you're listening. It's like we're losing, because of the fear, we're losing a layer of logic, right? We're losing common sense, right? Because fear, it's like the church, and I don't, no offense to anyone that's religious, but when you can control hope and fear, just like the young gentleman said about having the you know, creating the thing and then having the cure, you control everything. You know what I'm saying? So just be mindful of listening to the things, but also being logical about what you're hearing. When you go outside, as long as you're not coming in contact with like people, if you're just outside, why do you need the mask on? You're in the car, but why do you need the mask on? You should be allowing your body to take in the things that are not just in your house, right? So that when you go back outside and come into contact with them again, your body has already been in contact with them and has already developed the antibodies needed to protect against that stuff, right? As far as people going into the hospital and dying, yes, I have many of people in the hospital right now that send me messages all the time about this particular thing, but it really still comes back to the household. My kids are vegan. I don't judge anybody for what they, you know, do with their children, but we've been doing elderberry every day. We've been doing turmeric. You know, that's a part of their everyday lifestyle, right? So it doesn't matter what a virus, a bacteria, if your body is in a certain space already, then it doesn't matter what it comes in contact with. All you need to worry about is aiding your immune system. And as a people, we haven't done that great of a job of doing that because we're still eating like slaves, right? So what do you think is going to happen when grandma already got high blood pressure from busting down, you know, like mac and cheese and, you know, whatever this other stuff that they're eating, and she goes into the hospital? Like the man said, it's not going to be coronavirus. High blood pressure killed grandma, right? But now we're in a space where they can label things as they want to label them. But at the end of the day, it's like it comes back to us. So right now, you need to focus on cutting certain things out your diet, absolutely. Focusing on more alkaline and immune supporting things, right? And doing that for your children and not worrying about, that's more important right now than the mask. Because at the end of the day, they just found out the coronavirus can enter the eyes. What are we going to do? Wear goggles all day? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's the fear. It's like different layers of fear. Are you going to focus? Are you going to live in a space where you're just like hoping not to die, or are you going to just be living? I go outside with my kids. Sometimes they wear masks, sometimes they don't, right? Like, so just be more mindful and logical and share the correct information. You know what I'm saying? With your family and friends and whatever. To the young man that had people pass, you know, my definite condolences, love and light for that. But I just feel like sometimes we let fear mess with our heads. Don't use common sense, but also don't want to change, right? Like we're like, oh, I want to keep eating this chicken. So if I keep the mask on, right? Like I'm gonna be good. No, this is showing you that you need to have a total lifestyle change, because people are surviving this particular thing, and the people that are surviving are people that that from what I've noticed, people that already had a certain lifestyle. Once it's in you, there's nothing you can do about it, right? Because that's the nature of a virus. It infects the cells, take over the cells, and then it just proliferates. But if your immune system is on point, it's not really going to matter. So that's my piece on that.
Very good. I got 2 minutes for each
That was
person,
dope.
and then we're gonna wrap it up. I got 2 minutes for each person. Just what do you want to tell our people? It could be health related, it could be community front related, whatever you want, household related, but just give me a message to the people. Take up to 2 minutes to say it, and then I'm gonna move to the next person and I'm gonna close it out. I'm gonna start with Amin Ra.
So basically, to wrap it all up in 2 minutes, everything that the sister said, I am absolutely in agreement to. If it's anything that our people should do, it should be, number one, conduct research. Stop turning on your TVs, listening to shit that's going to sit there and store fear into you. Stop going to these fucking hospitals that's not doing shit for you. You feel what I'm saying? Because the only job that a doctor's supposed to do is supposed to treat your illness, not cure your illness. So when you rely on a situation that's already designed to watch you die, it's not going to work out. Basically start to conduct your own research. Learn the human body, learn the human anatomy, learn how to basically how to upgrade your immunity system, learn genetics, learn epigenetics. It's other things that you need to learn when it comes to the human body. What people fail to realize is the fact that, like the sister said, when you eating all these things, or you smoking, or you drinking, whatever the case may be, you don't think as time go on, these things is not going to sit there and catch up? So you think now when you finally contract something, this was going to kill you? No, you been have built this up. And because of the fact that you never took care of it, this is why this sat there and segue into this. So if there's anything that our people are going to do, it needs to be enlightening themselves on how to take care of themselves internally. When you wake up and you tell yourself already that you're living in a state of fear, you already program your body to basically feel like it's in fear. Your body's already designed to heal itself. But if you don't know that, and you don't know how to feed your body the things that it needs to nourish your body with the alkaline diet that it needs, then these are the results you're going to get. Why do you think these doctors don't tell you anything about probiotics? They tell you everything about antibiotics, and you got to break that word down itself. Anti-and-biotics, that means to kill, and bio means living. So they're going to kill the living organism, which is your body. But the antibiotics is not going to just kill the living organism, it's going to kill everything within your body. Probiotics, on the other hand, is going to sit there and feed your body. It's just like with chemotherapy. Chemotherapy, you're going to go there, and you're going to go through chemotherapy, but you're going to basically kill yourself. You're going to kill everything else, all the living organisms inside of your body. That's how you end up losing your hair and losing weight and stuff like that. You feel what I'm saying? Instead of just sitting there and putting yourself on a natural alkaline diet and taking in some soursop and taking in some elderberry, some turmeric, these things that's going to basically feed your body. And that has a lot to do with the older generation of our people. They don't understand how to basically hospital themselves.
Excellent. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I'm going to come to Mr. Hassan.
Well, what I could say is signing out is simply the work that we doing, we addressing our young people, and we addressing the traumas that our people in general have. And I think that, like the sister said, it's starting off in the household, but we're not in the household, we out on the streets. So we're addressing people individually to learn to develop themselves in whatever capacity, whether it's socially, whether it's economically, whether it's spiritually. We just here to help people in the system with their development. And in turn, by creating a new or creating a more progressive mindset, then we can add on to hitting the families, and from the families, hitting our neighbors and growing into communities that we need to regain that village-minded concept. So once we start addressing all the traumas that we have and looking at things from a holistic perspective, from those different factors and facets that y'all talking about, then I think that that's a good starting point, and we can add on from there.
Excellent, brother. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to come to K-Born next.
Oh, man, I like to leave the message, man, that, yo, man, we need to start coming together. We got to unify, man. We got to start respecting the elderly and start taking care of the elderly. You got to stop killing each other and stop going outside, and black on black crime. It's been going on for so long. We need to put an end to it. You need to start promoting and getting the youth into programs instead of stop recruiting them to try to get in gangs and to turn into things that's going to take us down. We need to fight against the system. We need to find out who our real leaders is and stop supporting all the brothers like the Jay-Z's and the Nas and the 50 Cents and who we consider heroes that all they do is sell alcohol to our kids. You know what I'm saying? We need to find the underline and start taking control of our family and start taking control of our household. And the kids need to start paying attention to their parents, man, and stop killing each other and start loving each other. That's the message I got for our people.
Excellent, brother. I agree with that advice. James?
I think we have to start doing our own research, right? We have to start, like K-Born said, implementing another plan or changing the narrative with our young adults. I don't have a problem with street gangs. I believe street gangs are out here. What we have to do is focus on the leadership of the street gangs. Make them accountable, right? There's certain kids out here that's out here in street gangs, but we have leadership that is poor, right? Street gangs gonna be here just like police gonna be here. What they have to start doing, changing the narrative and the direction of discussion with our young adults. And we have to do it now, not tomorrow, not yesterday, right now. So that's what I leave in the 2 minutes, okay?
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you. And last but not least, we're going to wrap this up with Miss Tamika.
Wow. I grew up in a really small village in St. Vincent, and I think we need to all adopt the village mentality. And that's not my kid, that's not your, it's our kid, right? That's the first part. But the other piece is also to arm yourself, whether that's, and whoever I'm speaking to is whatever makes sense to you is what makes sense for you. When I say arm yourself, whether that's physically, spiritually, mentally, health-wise, emotionally, etc. But don't just focus on self. Arm and then repeat, right? So arm yourself with something and then teach. So arm and repeat. That's what I believe.
Excellent, my sister. Thank you very much. I want to thank all you guys for appearing on the Black Pill Radio Show.